So welcome to this miniature lecture around my tool from the book, The Hero Trap. This is one of the key tools in the book on how to shape transformational brands and transformational leadership. And by that I actually mean leadership and brands that do add real tangible meaning in our lives. And the tool I want to share with you here today is really this tool, or multiple tools actually, from this workshop sheet. It's called the Transformation Map. And what this tool does is in fact that it gives you a step-by-step guide on how to shape what I call a transformational promise. And for me, the tool has been inspired by the fact that people no longer buying into our current approach to purpose. And what I witnessed through my years in advertising was that most people working on purpose took the why approach. That is very navel-gazing, inside-out view of your leadership and your brand. So why are you in this world? So this is what I can do as a brand or as a leader. Whereas in my book and with this tool, what I want you to do is to rethink your role in people's lives by asking a fundamentally different question, which is who can you help people become, which is an outside-in look. So how can you play a meaningful role in people's lives? How can you help them become the one that they are aspiring to become? But back to the tool, and I'll take you through the tool step by step. So the first part of the tool is called the arrow. And the arrow was inspired by psychotherapy and coaching, because both of those disciplines are goal-oriented, moving people from intent to action, from things that they want to see realized in their lives, from things that they're battling with in their lives and need help with overcoming. And I've had lots of marketing directors and members of boardrooms and CEOs actually asking me things like, so what is our purpose? And I feel that our purpose doesn't really resonate with people, or I do see this imbalance between profit and purpose. And hopefully by introducing this arrow tool to you, you can not only find a way to play a meaningful role in people's lives, you can also motivate them to create that much needed change. And by doing that, obviously not just position yourself as a leader, or if your brand, your products, as having a meaningful difference in people's lives. So the arrow asks 4 fundamental questions: what, how, who, and when. So the first question, what, shouldn't give you too much of a headache. What is it that you do? This is about your product or your service. This isn't necessarily a constant. If you think of Apple, they both do computers, iPhones, it's a streaming service, it's a music service. So that can change. If you are a running shoe company, then your what is obviously the running shoes. The second question is how. How are you unique in delivering your service or products? Maybe you do that in a more convenient manner. Maybe it's because your ingredients are of higher quality. Maybe it has to do with your heritage. Maybe you are an American company. Maybe you are a Scandinavian company. So what is it that makes you unique? The third question is really the most pivotal one in the arrow. So who can you help people become? And this is about understanding the fundamental role that you as a brand or as a leader play in people's lives. So who can you help them become? So maybe you can help them become a more conscious husband. Maybe you can help them become a better plant-based cook. Maybe you can help them become a better athlete. So it's about the transformation that you deliver, about making people smarter, healthier, more connected, greener, happier, whatever it might be. The fourth question is when. Because change without a motivational cry, change that's not a nudge, change that's not a little push in the back, is not really going to give you the much needed results. So when can be an imperative, it could be a time of day, it could be a period in your life. So let me give you an example. For a.k.a., for example, the when is every day. So making sure that their customers become more sustainable every day. For a lot of brands, it's simply just a rallying cry. Incentivizing healthier living, says the health insurance company Discovery. The when is incentivizing. So these are the four fundamental questions that you should ask yourself. And the outcome of that is what I call a transformational promise. And the transformational promise is different than a purpose. And I'm very precise about this. Obviously, you can argue that, hey, wait a moment, Thomas, isn't that a purpose? Because it's what we as an organization or leader, as a brand, are aspiring towards. And yes, you can argue that. But why I wanted to coin it differently, a transformational promise, was in fact that I think purpose is a word that's too big for its own good. For me, the transformational promise is a promise about a change that you can enable in people's lives. So it's a promise from you as an organization or as a leader about a change that you can help people deliver. So let me introduce a second tool on the brand transformation map, which helps you find your who. Who can you help people become? Because quite often it's about finding that meaningful role that you can play in people's lives. That's your little, what I call a who void. It's a void, it's a blue ocean to be discovered for you as a brand or as a leader. A unique helping hand in people's lives. Because quite often there are so many things that we as people struggle with or aspire towards, that we just need a little pat on the back, a little helping hand to achieve. And that's the who void. That's the role of the who void. And the who void looks fundamentally at three things. It looks at the role that your products or service is playing. It looks at your competitors. And it looks at what people are aspiring to become. And the who void is in that little intersection between those three narratives. So if you first of all look at your competitors, let's say you are a bank. So how can you as a bank stand out from your competitors in terms of the role that they are playing in people's lives? Quite often banks are these, dad-like conservative figures that are over you as an hawk. So maybe a role that you can play is one that encourages young people to have a bank on their terms, that enables them to be free, that enables them to use their funds and money as they wish. One example there is a bank out of South America that's called Nexus Bank. So that's looking at your competitors. Secondly, obviously look at your products or services, because it's essential that you align that meaningful difference with something that has rules, that makes meaning when you look at your products and services. So for example, if you're Nike and doing running shoes, yes, you can be the one that urges people to overcome those obstacles, that gives people that push in the back and say, go and just do it. There's a correlation between what the product and service is and the role that you play in people's lives. So obviously you need to make sure that it's anchored in your product or service. The third thing is obviously the role that you can explore. That thing that people really need help with. And that who can take many shapes and forms. So I'm going to introduce another tool for you that's going to help you finding that who. There's many different who that can be explored. And who is not really that inquisitive question you might get from your mom or a mother-in-law. So who do you want to be when you grow up? Who can have many facets to it. It's not about being a fireman or a pilot. It's much more about the who that you aspire towards being, maybe a better me, or the who that you try to avoid, maybe an unconsidered boyfriend. So there's many ways that who can express itself. It's basically about finding a meaningful role to play. And there's so many ways that you can do this. But in this framework, I'm going to introduce to you 12 different ways that you can look at a who. And again, this has been inspired by coaching, because if you think about what essentially makes a whole human being, we are made up by a multitude of factors that makes us happy, that makes a better life. Things like finances, things like a sense of home, things like family and friends, things like love. So when you look at the 12 different who's to be explored, use them as a guidance. Use them as a way to inform your who when you're looking at the who word, and when you ask yourself the question in the arrow, who can you help people become? And also look at your competition, because maybe your competition only owns a certain sphere in people's lives. Maybe it's just about finance. But if you, for example, take the American snack company Kind, it's a chocolate brand basically, but made out of healthy ingredients, like nuts and things like that, that they claim are kinder to your health and also kinder to your body. So what they want to explore, the who that they're looking towards, is one of kindness. And I guess we can all agree that in this quite divided world, kindness is definitely something we need. So you can see how they find a different who to own compared to a lot of others in the snack category. So now I help you inform the who and find your little who word, finding that meaningful difference you can play in people's lives. And that's what actually informing the choice and the position that you're shaping up in the arrow. And as I said, the outcome of the arrow is the transformative promise. So in this last little bit, I will talk a little bit about the transformative promise. And what I've done on the transformation map is actually giving you a few pointers on how to help you shape that transformative promise. And let me just remind you that the transformative promise is basically a commitment towards a positive change that you as an organization, leader or brand enables in people's lives. So pushing them towards that who, help them overcome some of the challenges that they see in their lives. And when you shape a transformative promise, it's important to consider a couple of things. Because as I said, a part of me going up against purpose was in fact that it was too broad and overarching. The inside out view. Do good for people and planet. What does that really mean in my life? Very few of us wake up in the morning and say, yes, I'm going to go out there and save the planet. No, it's about making it simple and operational and transformative. Earlier I mentioned the example of the health insurance company called Discovery, where they talk about incentivizing people to live healthier. And as that is their North Star, it's a very concrete goal. It's something that can all inside the company work towards, and it's something they can nudge their customers towards. And they've been incredibly successful in doing that. One of the things they've launched is basically a reward scheme, a program called Vitality. And it's in a way one of their delivery points, one of the services that really lives up to the transformative promise of incentivizing people to live healthier. And what they do is that they reward people each and every time they do something that's healthier. For example, if they go down in the supermarket and buy fruits and vegetables, or if they go to the gym. And by having a program like that, they've actually been successful in getting people that take part in the program to exercise 4.7 days more per month. So by having a clear, transformative promise, it's a driver of real change. And it's also good for business. Because a health insurance company that has to pay less in premiums are a healthier business. So let me give you the 5 questions that can help shape your transformative promises. And as I said, they are all on the transformation map. It's about being customer centric. It's about being transformative. It's about being specific. So you can ask yourself, does the promise focus on a specific challenge or opportunity? It's about being active. This is really going back to the idea about the when. So is this a promise? Is this promise an active encouragement? Incentivizing people to live healthier? And is it operational? Is this really something that the whole business can see as their north light, as their guiding star? So is that something you can make operational across the business, across the organization? And then obviously the 2 other boxes, I share a few examples of transformative promises, and I also give you a couple of questions that can help shape your transformational promise. But I can just mention a few promises here, transformational promises. For example, Blinkist, inspire people to keep learning. Apple, think different. Nike, just do it. So you can see how change is at the heart of each and every one of these. And in fact, what I have done by researching this approach compared to the traditional inside-out purpose approach is in fact that when you take a transformational approach, people are on average 29.4% more likely to feel motivated. And we are faced with a gargantuan task of mitigating or even solving the climate emergency that we're in right now, and standing up to a lot of the social challenges that we're facing right now. So it's important that we act. It's important that you as a brand or as a leader get people to act. And by the end of the day, when people act and your products and services play a meaningful role in people's lives, it's also good for business. So this was my introduction to the transformation map, and I hope that you want to explore more of these tools and the thinking in my book, The Hero Trap. And we also do lots of online courses, webinars and conferences around the world. So do hope that you want to meet me at one of these events, or you want to come and join one of these events, because my mission is very clear. I want to make you a catalyst for positive change. So come and join my mission.